I get students talking by trying to start the discussion myself and understanding it as a collective, you know, that it's okay for them to talk amongst themselves, and when we sort of build that energy up in the classroom, to then share it with everybody. When it's not just isolating one person with to find a response from them, potentially putting them on the spot. It's getting the studio working in a more collaborative way. So finding a colleague who they can discuss it with, and then sharing that with myself. And if we feel that they want to share it with the whole class, then that's fabulous. But yeah, it's starting off small and sort of building it up.
I get students talking by showing them that you're excited by what they're learning and that you're excited about the opportunities that are being created for them, and also showing them the relevance of what they're learning to industry context.
The best way to generate conversation is sometimes just to divert attention away from what you're trying to teach them. And at the end of the day, you're really trying to get engagement in a way that is really meaningful to them and meaningful to you. So if a small distraction away from the everyday rigours of learning the content is a much welcome break, then it's a really great way to get everybody thinking and talking to one another.
So in a class, getting students talking and getting students engaged is well achieved when you have an equitable, learning environment, and that's when students feel empowered and they feel that they will go out of their way to engage and create that learning environment. If they feel that the tutor is coming and unilaterally throwing their ideas on the students, either it's through a concept or creating groups, then they don't really come out, and that doesn't really create the environment that we want to save. So bringing those interesting games or activities and bringing them in such a way that fosters an equitable environment and create a sense of responsibility among the students.
I get students talking by getting to know them and then finding which ways are most comfortable for them. So not everyone is comfortable talking in a lecture environment, for example. So it's important that we don't just rely on that one format to get people talking. We actually give them a chance to discuss, so in one-on-one or as part of a group or even online. So it's about finding ways that people can express themselves in a way that they're comfortable with.
I think the easiest way to get the students talking at the start of the semester is to sit them all down as a group. Make sure you sit down. I don't think the sort of standing teacher approach works. So sit down with them around a big table and just ask some sort of open leading questions, even just the question, do you have any questions about the project? Often will start a conversation going, and then to invite maybe the loudest ones to speak first, and that does help the more quiet ones to come out of their shells a bit. Yeah.
Look into the diversity of the groups and break down them and understand their needs. And some students feel intimidated when we are asked to participate among a group and stand in front of the class and deal with the questions. But sometimes when you understand that some of the group of students or few students feel intimidated in such an environment, we need to understand their needs, and by understanding their needs, what we do is talk with them separately and probably ask them to write down things on the board or a piece of paper which they can take up, and then it helps them, those points or those things that they write in the boards, that help them to illustrate to the group. So sometimes what happens is that the way people communicate and adapt to a classroom environment is different. So we need to understand the students' needs. Some students have those leadership skills inbuilt.
I get students talking by focusing on the content of their work, what they've done, the actions they've taken, the process that they've walked through before they've got into studio class, how they feel about it, how they're investing in it. And I also get students talking by me investing in their work, by thinking about how I would work, how I would collaborate with them, and how we progress, as I said, as co-learners.
I get students talking by finding something which they can relate to. So quite often, if there's a way that the project can relate to an experience that they've had, if it's about designing a house, we start to talk about the house that they live in or the house that they grew up in. So childhood memories, and start to expand on those personal experiences, which can then begin to inform the way a design might begin. We can start to think about which of those experiences were pleasant ones that we'd like to explore in a design sense, and start to think about atmospheres and things that are less tangible that you don't immediately think of when you're given a written brief that talks about spaces.
So prepare well, and then execute those different activities in a more engaging way so that the students participate and not just sit idle, just sit there. And so one-way conversations, so rather we have two-way conversations where not only teachers talk and then also allow students to engage through those different activities that can be planned.